People, welcome back to Politricks Watch. This is Sir P. Now, Clarendon is going to be the star of the show today. And in case you're wondering which show that I'm talking about, the never-ending movie of death and destruction that continues to play in Jamaica. You know, like how Netflix have those series that keep going on and on and on. And even the series done, it look like say, alright, that's it. Nope, a new series that come. That's how crime staying at Jamaica. Right, but every now and then, sometime Moby man them star, sometimes Spanish Town man them star. Well, it look like Clarendon decides after them time now. We're hearing about 2 cases coming out of Clarendon. Happened within a 24-hour span. Right. Now the first one, most people would have heard about it already. Right, because it's been all over social media and it involves a 21-year-old private in the JDF by the name of Renil King. Right. And the early reports are that there was an operation that took place in Milk River, Clarendon. Right now, anybody who know Milk River, Clarendon, and based on the description of where this went down, you will know the location is completely treacherous. Right now, them go around there. Again, the reports say them get in a firefight, rounds get exchanged, and when the dust settled, the young private Renil King was found suffering with a wound to the head. Right now, this was a joint operation between the JDF and the JCF. So people were there, obviously trying to render first aid, right? Trying to at least salvage some kind of hope for the young man. They actually called in a JDF helicopter to airlift him because, based on where the actual shooting took place, people treacherous conditions. So the helicopter have to go in, right? 1, it's quicker, and 2, you don't really want to try running through the bush with a man, especially in that state, right? So helicopter come, move him to the hospital. Unfortunately, he did not make it, right? He actually went to 2 different hospitals. At first he went to Maypen, right, because he was clinging on, right? The young man was fighting for his life, right? And then they decided they're going to move him down a UC. Unfortunately, he did not make it. Now, when we link up with the man them and ask them, what going on? How did this take place? I started to realize that, you know what? Somebody is going to answer some serious questions. Because I don't want to go into too much details now, because I said, listen, confirm it and get back to me. But based on what I'm hearing, when investigations go down, somebody in some serious problem. People were more upset, and by people I mean the man and the JDF man, were more upset internally than they were at the actual 87s. I'll tell you why that piqued my interest. Normally when a JDF soldier lose their life and they say, yo, what going on? The attitude is always the same. Don't worry yourself, Sir P. You're going to read about them. Don't worry yourself. This is going to happen. We're going to make sure that this happen. That's the tone. That is what happened when you end up in a situation where it could not, like it's unavoidable, right? 87 get a lucky shot, or them catch you off guard in an ambush or something like that. That is the tone. Don't worry. They'll get started. We'll go for them. I noticed the tone surrounding Renil King's incident. It was more introspective, right? Meaning say the man them I look internally and I say, yo, foolishness, go on, right? Now, in case you haven't realized, there's been a lot of hush-hush. Even inside the JDF, there's been hush-hush. The police that took part in the ops as well, they're also hush-hush. I think there's going to be a lot of explanation for this one. Because as me say, when you see a JDF soldier dead and people are more upset about the actual actions or the actual operation itself and not the 87s who do the killing, that's usually a hint that somebody is going to have to be standing with them feet together before the man, right? Now, I want people to understand, when JDF go on certain operations, when the military in general, and this is all over the world, right? US, UK, Canada, army man them can testify about this as well. What you didn't do can get you in just as much problem as what you did do. Let me make that clearer for some people. I'm going to give you a perfect example. When the now infamous incident that surrounded Damian Hamilton and the 3 police officers who lost their lives, right? SSP Clunis, Biggs and Hamilton, right? When that incident went down, if you were listening to my videos as I was talking about them, you'd have heard me stress the point about what didn't get done. You see, the difference is, if that had happened to the JDF, certain things will never go on, you would have been in just as much problem as if you had go there, do something and completely screw up. For example, not covering certain part, not taking care of this, not making sure that this is in place before you move the fire team, or making sure that you this is in place before you move the section over here. So these things can get somebody in a world of problems, especially the commanders. Not just the section commanders, but the platoon commanders. Listen, the big boss for the operation, the man who lead the operation, him to get himself in a problem too, right? So based on how the man them attack, it tell me say somebody in a some problem for what has happened to Ranil King, and that's why I really notice them not going on all up a detail, right? You just see a firefight go on, soldier get shot in the head, lose him life. Not as much detail is coming out. Trust me, people, there's a lot of internal things that go on right now surrounding this death, right? So I might have to do an update on it, and if I get a confirmation and it says Sir P, go on ahead, you can't say this, then I'll give you the 100. Until then, people, please nobody ask me nothing more. I could just leave it at that, right? Now let's look at the other case. This one surrounds a priest, right? I mean, how random is that? A JDF soldier and a priest in 24 hours. But this killing of the priest is extremely spooky. The name of the victim is a 36-year-old man by the name of, I don't know if it's Larius or Larius Lewis, right? And he was a member of the Anglican church down there in Chapelton, Clarendon. He was one of their priests. Listen how them finding the people. His body was found with his hands and his feet bound. In other words, them tie up him hand and him feet. Them give the priest a wicked death. You know, say once man tie up your hand and tie up your foot, you know, say normally before them take your life, they might put you through some kind of misery. So it would be really, really interesting to find out the motive behind why them deal with him so. Right, because them never even satisfied for just take him life, right? Them have to tie up hand and tie up foot and go through all of this. So of course, as you can imagine, the local church community is everybody's in shock because they must say, boy, they don't know why they not deal with him like that, right? Especially because, you know, people are going to say then, what somebody could have do, what the priest could have do to make them deal with him so, right? He was also a reverend. People, this one is going to be very, very interesting because no more information will come out about it, right? But them said the last time them seen alive was Wednesday. So Wednesday was the last time people see him, and then they find him till Friday with hand and foot tie up. So you know, say something spooky went down, right? Somebody wanted to send a really, really harsh message to him, right? So who knows what them do to him? They release no information yet about the state of his body in terms of what them do to him or what them find upon him. On top of that, them never even say exactly how he lost his life. Right, so we don't know if a knife or a gun or what. But people, this one is very interesting. We have to see what go on. Right, so Clarendon people, we have to go link up, especially when it comes on to this priest, because I mean, just by the nature of his job, how often he used to make something to a priest. Right, no simple Simon, we're not saying that priest life mean more than nobody else. But the natural assumption people make is, well, priests are people who just go about them business and just go to church. So what priest could have involved with now smarty with make smart the priest this. You don't know. You don't know. That's the problem. See, in Jamaica, trying to come to a theory purely based off of somebody's career or somebody's job, it's almost impossible. Right? Because people can get killed in Jamaica like this because them did involve with people and some bad deal go on, or them just so happen to be the cousin or the brother or the father of somebody who the man them really want and must send a signal to them, right? So trying to come to a motive off the top of your head is almost impossible. But I remember there was a time in Jamaica when you hear somebody lose them life like this, the first thing everybody would say is, well, he must involve in a something. He must be a criminal and somebody come for him. I remember that time, right? But from people hear certain with them say, oh man, he must mix up in some badness or some gang thing. That's not the case anymore, right? And again, when I talk specifically about the priest now, who knows what caused this happen to him, right? But I'm saying in general, because people always ask me, Sir Peter, what she could have do, what him could have do, because people naturally expect certain things to happen to certain people, right? So people expect obviously the 87s are dead, People expect, say, you know, a kerosene might get kitchen at the crossfire every now and then. Right? But when people hear of the outlier cases like this, a reverend, you know, a priest, Anglican priest, tie up, hand tie up, foot tie up, people are going to scratch them head. But I'm sure somebody will link me and tell me what I go on still. Right? And I know the church now going to make this slide. Remember, I know people, there are a lot of powerful bodies in Jamaica. Of course, people know, say, JCF and JDF, right? Anything happen to them, man, there's normally quick retribution. The church is a very, very powerful body. And if you are going to go for priests and tie up hand, tie up foot, best believe the leaders of the Anglican Church are going to be on their phones making the calls to the various stakeholders and tell them to listen, get to the bottom of this, right? Because if these 87 think them can't do this to one of our priests, them are going to find out what go on, right? Remember, you know, people, the church is powerful to the point that even the state don't really want to cross the church, right? You notice anytime you see politicians that do nothing, and it might potentially cause problem with the church, notice how them tiptoe around it. The church in Jamaica is very powerful, right? And I have a feeling this case is going to get looked at and solved very quickly. And we can see it turn out now. Patreon squad, big up on yourself. Please like, comment, and share the video. Bless.